Hey guys, welcome back to Better Together Homestead. Today, I have realized in the goodness, I have an abundance of people and an abundance of eggs. And we're gonna bring those two things together today. And we're gonna solve the problem of hungry people with lots of eggs. And we're making a Dutch baby. So first things first, this is a rumor at my house that there are a lot of eggs out there, so we need to go check how many eggs there are, and there's a really strong chance I haven't been out there all week and I'm gonna need to float test these eggs. If that is a fun new science idea for you, hang with me and we'll go check on the eggs first. Do you think it's gonna be more than this?
Yep.
It's occupied. The irony of hens with no rooster brooding on their, no, that's a different one. There's another one. There's one over here. All right.
Oh.
Behind box number 1. Okay, this is manageable. But I feel like box number 2 is gonna be big secret. Box number 3 is also overloaded, but I'm gonna regret not having taken these eggs out all week. I might have to make like 8 Dutch babies just to catch up.
Do you know how to do this?
I do. Usually I just pull it back and she's like, all right, get out of here. Come on, little girl.
Come on, crazy, awesome
Oh, look at her puff up.
lady.
All right.
Oh.
Oh, it's gonna be such a job. All I thought I was gonna do today was like make a great recipe. All right, so here's the danger. I'm gonna shout out to our favorite hatchery.
Someone has eaten.
I was gonna say someone started eating one of them at least. Here's the danger of having a hatchery that you love. You like their chickens produce eggs, you get more chickens because you like the look of those chickens, and then you have more eggs, and then the next thing you know, you will be taking all of the eggs to the kitchen to float test them. So these are our chickens from Ideal. Ideal Poultry is just up the road, about 30 minutes from us. We know their family, we know their operation really well, and we love and recommend Ideal to everyone that we know who wants chickens. And one of the really cool things is that this is like Texas born and bred, deep roots in family hatchery. So this is generations on generations owning this hatchery. And I can't recommend their birds enough. And I hope that the proof is in this pudding that I'm about to make because, wow, this is a lot of eggs. So thanks, Ideal. We're gonna shout you out because we just think you're amazing. Grumpy hen nearby. It's probably because, no,
it's doing so good.
I think it's probably, I don't think that's the grumpy one. I don't think that's the one that was sitting. I think the grumpy bird is the one grumpy at the hen who is sitting here. Oh my gosh, this is gonna weigh like, do you see them in there?
Who's so mad? Oh, there's one there.
An egg or a chicken?
No, chicken.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. I think they were both like, it's my turn to sit on these babies.
Yeah.
But they're not babies. You cannot have babies without a rooster. We don't have a rooster. I know someone is about to comment about the egg box being on the counter. I'm okay with that comment. But like in your house, if you need to put the egg box on your counter, just wash your counter. You'll be okay, I promise. Here is your recommended science lesson of the day. If an egg floats, it's a bad egg. Get rid of it. If an egg sinks to the bottom and lays on its side, it's a fantastic egg. Save it, put it on your counter because the bloom will still be intact. If your egg sits on its bottom or its point, and it's still on the bottom, use it and use it today. That's my recommendation. And no matter what, especially if you have a rooster, crack your egg into its individual bowl before you add it to the ingredients as a whole. Because if you have a rooster, you just have no idea what eggs have been fertilized and what have not. Lord willing, all these eggs sink to the bottom and we'll be in great shape. Because I might actually already have some that need to be used. Thank you, not now. Yeah, all of them are down. So I caught these pretty early then.
No, they just laid so many in the last few days.
There's been a lot of egg laying out here.
Need more water?
These are the ones from the bottom, and I might add more water just to see. They all look good to me. We're gonna need to wash a lot of them. I'll cook the dirtiest ones today, and that way we just get them out of the rotation. That's great. Not a fan of chickens. I love what they do for me. I'm gonna say it over and over again. I'm so grateful for chicken eggs, but I do not enjoy chickens as a whole. I love a cow. And today we're gonna use both the cow and the chicken products to make a delicious meal. Ugh. Not a fan. It's much more manageable when you check your eggs every day. But I do think that's super cool about farm fresh eggs. Since they haven't been washed, they're going to last so much longer. And even though these were outside, and even though there was a chicken sitting on them, they're still in great shape. And the float test is tried and true. I've never had an egg that didn't float that was bad. Now that I've washed these, they have to be used or go into the fridge. They can't just be on my counter anymore. I'll give all the ingredients and the recipe in the description below. I'm actually just sourcing from my friend Amanda, who very first taught me how to make Dutch babies. She has a bunch of kids as well. And I think this is great because it's one of the things that you just prep in one pot basically and then throw it into the oven, and it comes out great every single time. Even if it doesn't come out the same every single time, it somehow comes out great. I'm gonna do a shift from the norm today, and not only am I gonna use my regular ingredients, but I've been adding in cottage cheese as well, and that just gives a super satisfying Dutch baby, whether you go the savory route like meats and cheeses in it, or you're gonna go something sweeter and just top it with syrup or powdered sugar. I have run out of store-bought butter, which is ironic that when I run out of store-bought, I use my regular homemade butter, but this is unsalted, and I'm gonna melt about 5 tablespoons. I think I measured this and it was 10. So I'm gonna go melt this while I prep the rest of the, I guess it's batter, like Dutch baby batter. This smells so good. It just smells good. It smells like real butter. It's so great, I love it. While I'm doing this, we're multitasking in 100 ways. The baby is watching a show because then she's quiet. The medium baby is taking all of those eggs from the nest box, and she is going to sort them and put them into a box so that we have them on our counter when we need them and I don't forget to go back outside. And then we're gonna use just a trusty old blender, put all of the ingredients in the blender, and then mix it, and we put it into the oven. And when I say this is so easy, this is something I wish I had known when I very first started cooking. I wish that I had known a Dutch baby was so simple. I know people are like, this is also known as a German pancake, and I believe you, but these are not pancakes, and I will not deceive you in such a way. If your blender is broken, hit the top button with the heel of your hand. That's how I do it. Okay, so we're gonna mix the wet ingredients first with the exception of that melted butter, and then I'm gonna pour that in slowly when it's time because I have cooked my eggs ahead of time in this recipe and you don't wanna do that. So this is gonna be a large batch. We have 7 people in our family, and if I make it this way, I usually have leftovers, 1 or 2 pieces, because I also add toppings in to make this a really rich, dense meal. Not dense like heavy where you walk around feeling like you just ate a loaf of bread and syrup like a real pancake, but more like you're very satisfied with less food. So let's go in with the 9 eggs first. Oh, let me not break my rule.
Yeah.
All right. Your store-bought eggs will not be as tedious a task as this. You will just crack them directly into your blender, but because I am neglectful of my chickens, who are so good to me. The very worst risk is that you put all 8 of the first eggs in, and the last egg you put in is rotten. And I would say on top of that, the risk is opening a rotten egg in your kitchen if you have not flow tested it. Don't ask me how I know, because I don't know if I would have the stomach to tell you the stories.
Because when we first got
Ooh.
our layers, that happened so often. Until we realized this hack.
Yeah, this, and is it even a hack or is it just common sense?
Yeah.
I wish I would have had common sense, right, when I first had chicken eggs. And so it just takes a couple extra moments, but it pays off to not have a rotten egg after you've added everything else in. If you want a pro mom tip, and this is very, very, very top secret, hard boil eggs and then give them to your toddler, and you'll buy at least 10 minutes of hard work on her effort. All right, girl, do you want me to crack it and roll it? Okay, climb up. Okay, this is gonna require a super hot oven, so I'm gonna turn it to 450 and put a little butter into the pan and then throw it into the oven so that while the butter is melting, the oven is heating, the Dutch baby is gonna get like crazy hot directly into that pan. I think this is unsalted, so I need to remember to add salt into the dish. Eyeballed it. It's probably like 2 tablespoons. So if you have milk in a jar, you just go down the 2 cups. This is 2 cups of milk. That's about right. Okay. This is the part of the secret sauce. This is absolutely not sponsored, but I didn't want to make cottage cheese, and most of you are gonna buy it from the store. This is the kind I get, and here's why I like it. It says cultured skim milk, cream, and salt. If you're going to the grocery store and you're buying cottage cheese, choose the one with the fewest ingredients, the fewest amount of gums or additives that are made to like thicken and preserve. Just milk, salt, culture, you're good to go. So we're gonna put half a cup into this. I'm gonna start with half a cup and then decide if I wanna put more into this. It's like a heaping 3/4. Let's call it 3/4 cup. But I was like, I would never be able to follow your recipes, Kelly. But enough of you could follow the yogurt recipe that I know I'm not leading you astray. Yeah, when it's time to push the buttons, you can mix it, okay? Okay, but it's not time yet. That sound is not the kind of sound that your kitchen equipment should make. But if your kitchen equipment, like mine, makes sounds it shouldn't make because it's broken, do not be ashamed. You are in your kitchen, and that's a great place to be. It's probably about a pinch of salt, maybe a 1/4 teaspoon. About the same of pepper. I think that a lot of people feel this like seasonal affected disorder in like the winter. That is not so if you live in Central Texas. You feel this way about October when you realize it has not rained for 2 months and you don't know if it will rain for another 2 months. The Farmer's Almanac is like, hedge your bets on February. That is salted butter, and it is so freaking good. It is the creamiest, most flavorful butter on the planet. That is so, so good. I'm so glad I made that. Thank you, past me. Future me is happy. Oh wait, it goes like this. Okay, so we're gonna start blending it, and then I'm gonna carefully pour in the butter slowly. It's not like super piping hot, but if you pour in hot butter into your egg mix, it's just going to scramble it. So lots of times I'll even prep this on the stove and I'll just warm my milk a little bit and butter at the same time so it all mixes together and isn't too hot. So let's go ahead and pulse this a bit. I think we want to go about 30 seconds. Okay, I'm gonna pour in the butter slowly again so it doesn't scramble my eggs. And then I think honestly my bowl is hotter than anything else. I should probably use a different kind of thing. I'm gonna use the thing I absolutely hate. This is a very valuable kitchen tool, but I really dislike this kitchen tool because they're so grimy, and even when you wash them, they do not turn out the way you want them to. So let's turn it on and pour it in. 1.5 cups flour. All right, we got this, guys. We're in the home stretch. We're almost done with the batter. All we're gonna do is put in the flour, and this is what makes it more pancakey and less quiche-y. I'm very messy, but I like to clean while it's cooking, and so then I don't suffer the consequences. Always hedge your bets, friends. Okay, the oven's almost up to temp. As soon as it starts to beep, I'm gonna pour this into the cast iron that's in there, and it's gonna start cooking almost immediately. So this is something that I'll usually make like, hey, we're gonna go out for chores. This part takes like 10 minutes to put together.
So how many eggs is that?
I don't know, we should probably check. Okay, this is 18 here.
18.
18.
Whoa, okay.
And then this is 12. I think it's 43. Plus the 9 that we just put in. Plus the 2 duck eggs I have on my counter. I think I'm gonna be making more Dutch babies this week. It's time. The beep has beeped, and it's time to pour this into our hot skillet. Okay, so that butter has melted around probably a little bit more than we wanted to, but quite frankly, that's just flavor to me. So you're gonna see it start to cook right when you put it on your hot skillet, and that's how you know it's ready. Because there's so much batter in this pan, it's going to be a very large Dutch baby. All right, test your skills, guys. Get it into the oven carefully. Okay, the coolest thing about Dutch baby is that once you put it into the oven, the super high heat and then the massive amounts of eggs that are in this recipe just pillow up. It's almost like souffle. It is this huge, huge puff up, and then once you take it out, it's gonna start collapsing in the middle, so then you have these walls on the edges of your Dutch baby. The way that you know it's done, because this is what I always like to tell you instead of just telling you how long, I put it in for about 20 minutes. I'll check it at 20, knowing that it probably is gonna need another 10. So I could just tell you, hey, this is gonna take 30 minutes. However, if your Dutch baby burns at 30 minutes, I feel like I've done you a disservice. So this is what you're looking for. We're going to watch for the walls to get really big. The whole thing is gonna get quite big, but the walls will be a little bit higher. And they'll maybe brown a little bit on top. And then if you look at it, like open the door and shake it a little bit, you're gonna notice the inside is not jiggly anymore. This is like, just like a denser consistency. You can also make this more of a gluten-free version if you wanna substitute the flour and put in arrowroot powder. It's not quite a match to match. I'll often do probably 3/4 arrowroot. And the difference is that when you eat an arrowroot, like gluten-free version instead of the flour, it's more of almost like a baked custard. Like the inside is kind of gelatinous a little bit. Not chewy is not the right description. Yeah, I guess custard is the best way to describe the texture. So it's not real creamy, but it's not dense. It's not pillowy like a pancake. It doesn't have that flour that's gonna make it rise with those extra air bubbles. So if you like this idea, but you're looking to go gluten-free, it's very easy to just sub out the flour and put that in instead. I've never made this without dairy. I don't think it would be that good. I think you really need like the protein and the fat from that milk, so I wouldn't recommend it dairy-free. The reason that we have fresh milled, it's probably not, milled isn't the right word. We made our own powdered sugar today. We're gonna put it on the Dutch baby once it's done. But the reason we have it is because Ollie just made a, what was it? A batch of marshmallows from this recipe book that I collaborated with. I'll leave a link below. It's absolutely fantastic and it's tradition. So like we shared some of the things that we've been doing over and over every year in our household to kind of simplify the holidays and also make traditions that are meaningful. So it's in this book. It's called Holidays on the Homestead. I'll leave a link below. It's on sale now until Wednesday, so just a few more days. But Ollie's like, Mom, can I show you these marshmallows? So let's see. Ollie, they look marshmallowy. Let's show. Beautiful job. I feel like maybe you want them to set a little bit more, but take a look at that.
Can I see?
Just a squishy marshmallow. Oh, Ollie, that is so cool.
It do it?
It needs cocoa, Ella says. It pays to be in your kitchen. Your kids will make you amazing treats.
There you go.
So while this is cooking, we have time to chat. So things that are different around here is obviously it is fall, but no one told Texas it was fall, so it's actually still 90 degrees today. And it hasn't rained in 2 months, and I don't really know if it's going to. So we're in this weird place of like pivot in case it never rains again, and also continue on because we have obligations. So we've got this chicken butcher workshop that's going on. In fact, I just posted today on Instagram about how we have like, I think it's 12 more days left. So 12 days to really plump up these chickens before they go into our freezer. And at the workshop, we're going to be teaching all that we know about chickens so far. So we've realized just today that it's going to be 6 years that we've lived here just 1 week after that workshop. So we're going on our 16th year of marriage, our 6th year of homesteading, and I don't even think we could sum up all the things that we've learned. It's not ready yet, but she's getting fat and juicy. So one thing that I know is that there is a trend. I don't know if it's very scientific or if it's just all anecdotal about homesteaders who our numbers were like booming in 2020. Where the world was going, the next election, and lo and behold, we're in another election year, so there's a lot of feelings floating around. And I think it's valuable to chat about what we let into our mind, what we let into our thoughts, what we dine on regularly as information, content, entertainment. So think of it as like a diet, but not just the food that you eat, but it's the media or the content that we consume. And I will tell you that we never would have moved here, and we never would have raised an animal, and we never would have homeschooled our kids, and we never honestly would have had a successful marriage if we had given the negative thoughts, the fear mindset, any room or place in our consumption diet. If we had decided, hey, it's okay to just sit there and let people who are very afraid inform our decisions. If we had said, oh, I feel like the nation is going to hell in a handbasket and we better gird our loins, and that's why we're going to homestead, we would have been in trouble. There is absolutely room that is afforded to homesteaders to be prepared financially, prepared physically, prepared with food, even prepared with space. And I would say that all of that is lost without the understanding that we are blessed to be a blessing. And that can get very churchy and sound like so good. But the truth of it is, if the Lord gives you a loaf of bread, you make sandwiches for other people. Like, make your own sandwich and eat and enjoy it. And then make a sandwich for other people too. If you are homesteading and you have any bit of knowledge that you can share that with other people who want to do the same thing. If you are running away from something, it's like a picture of a tiger. You are trying to outrun something out of fear. Then it's going to catch you, and it's going to be faster than you, and it's going to consume you every single time. But if you are running towards something, then you have a destination. Our marriage almost failed. It was very close to it and had all the recipe and ingredients in place. Bo felt very worrisome, and his personality is just this way, where he will have an idea and he'll think of the worst case scenario so that in the event that something bad should happen, he's prepared. I value that because I very rarely look into the future. I was not the girl dreaming of her wedding. I was not imagining how many children I had. I was really just always flying by the seat of my pants. I think they say opposites attract for a reason, but I also think they can be detrimental to one another. And so I let him feel the fear, and I let him have permission to panic a little bit over it. And he also let me have permission to not be worried about it. So in a way that made this great combination of kind of having your head in the clouds, and then someone was going to plant your feet in either direction, for me or for Bo. And when it was time for us to make a decision about moving here, the conversation just went like this. He's like, hey, I see some things coming down the pipe. I'm concerned about finances in our nation. I'm concerned about how much of an island is created when you live in the city, and resources can be limited. We were just about to face Hurricane Harvey, which wound up devastating, making its mark on the Houston area with flooding and with unexpected heavy rainfall over a very long period of time. It was like something we hadn't seen in that area before. So all of these things, when I step outside of the panic and the fear, seem like God is doing something. And then I just ask, what is that? And then we follow that direction. And so for Bo and I, the conversation just looked like, hey, I respect you. I respect what you're saying, and I want to honor that. Can we find a way for us to be running toward something? And we spent all of our time for the next 2 years in Houston just learning how to fix the disposal and building small things in our garage, like tables or stools, like gardening in our backyard. And all of this gave us this fortification of hope and excitement and eagerness. And it shifted in that direction from fear and anxiety and worry. And I think that any decision, especially major ones in your life, made out of fear will just carry that fear, that lack of preparedness, that unsettledness into the next season. So we're running out of fear into something that it just chases us. The fear is the tiger behind us, and it will outrun us and it will devour us. And instead, we get this really sweet opportunity to step back from the fear and realize that this isn't made for us and we're not made for it. And so how do we make cautious, wise decisions without having fear as our motivator? So I don't know if you're in this like homesteading world or dreaming about it like we were. There were very few things that we had in our pocket when we first started imagining about living on the land. When we first thought about raising animals or collecting all of those eggs today. So everything was collecting little tools to put in our bag and carry with us that would equip us for the next season. So this season has been really sweet, and cooking with you guys has been really, really sweet. It actually spurred on another channel that we're going to do. We've started putting some of our cooking videos over there, and it's called Better Together Eats. And it's just a place for us to tell YouTube how to let people find the right things. So if we have a channel like Better Together Homestead and it has everything about living in a shed we converted to a house, and everything about raising animals, and everything about gardening, and everything about cooking, it confuses the algorithm, and it just quite frankly doesn't know how to tell people where to go to find us. So Better Together Eats is like trying to think of like some kind of 1990s core show that had a spinoff. This is what Better Together Eats is. It's Better Together Homestead, but just a spinoff of only recipes and cooking and like, you know, gathering stuff from the gardens and the chickens, but more of a channel with our recipes, because I really would love for people to just feel like they can cook. I wish I had a Better Together Eats channel that's going to tell me, oh, this is what it should look like when your Dutch baby is ready to take out of the oven, or this is how to cook for this many people, or these recipes scale up really well and these ones not so much. That's what we want to provide over there that equips you to be confident in the kitchen. I'm still learning to be confident in the kitchen, but I've learned enough that I feel like I could share it with you.
Wow.
That's serious. So in a minute, it's going to collapse in. You might choose a bigger dish. I think we might have overfilled this one, but it's great in a glass dish or in cast iron. So in a minute, you'll see it kind of like drop down in the middle a little, but this will feed a lot of people.
That's what we want.
So we used a whole lot of eggs. We're going to feed a whole lot of people Dutch baby.